Hi, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? We got another really interesting fireside chat here with my friend Robert. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Getting
Thank you.
getting pretty excited, honestly, with everything that's going on with crypto right now. I mean, we see a lot in the news. Crypto prices are jumping right now, like you and me were talking pre-show. The gaming metaverse is ever expanding. How you been feeling lately about it?
I think euphoric is kind of an understatement.
Yeah, I would definitely put it that
Uh,
way.
yeah, I was telling you just before stream, I was talking to an investor back in like March or January, and basically he was telling me I didn't think it was that it actually was before that. It was like at the very end of last year. I was talking to him
Mm-hmm.
just before Christmas and telling him what our business was all about. The focus was turn video games into passive income, paid work, had this whole patent pending technology that I was showing to him, and he was like and I forget, I'm not going to say his name, but it's kind of related in this area is what he funds, and that's what his company does. And he was like, well, I think this is the time for this is going to be in the future, but I don't think the time for this technology is now. And now I look at it like probably just a little less than a year later, and it's just like taking off. And like I just wake up every day with this kind of like sense of like looking at all the other gaming NFTs and things that I have in the cryptos, and just watching these accumulate value.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, like this is really happening. And I feel like I'm at the tip of the spear of it, not only with what I'm holding, but also building the business. And it's really super exciting.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think you explained that like quite perfectly. Like honestly, from my perspective over here, with Strike Team Games, honestly, like the goal has been just talking and exploring how different people interpret the space that we're in right now, how everyone is kind of building off into the future, what they think the short term future could be from their opinion. So I'd love to get that type of impression from you with BC Kingdoms there on Twitter and really get more details on how you started up, what your short term goals may be, and what you think could be possible for this space in the future.
All right. So, what was the first question
So
there? Because
let's
it seemed
start.
like there were a couple.
How about we start with just your entry into the space in terms of running your own business.
Are my like personally or just like the business? I'm trying to figure. Do you want my personal story or do you want like
Let's
the
let's
business
let's
story?
start with the business story.
Okay, so the business story is we're blockchain kingdoms. We have a platform. It's the name of blockchain kingdoms, and we created it to turn video gaming into passive income and paid work. We started with a token called a job token. It is still in development. We have like a 5 versus 5 playable game. It's kind of like a Overwatch meets Smite in a way.
Okay.
5 players face off, and we want to integrate our revenue sharing job token. If you heard of scholarships,
Sure.
our job token works in a very similar way. It's like a revenue sharing token. It's taken a while to kind of get started. We've been developing it over time, and while we were doing that, we decided to get involved with Wax because we saw what was happening on Wax. Basically, like almost zero cost transaction fees. We love that because we try to use Ethereum right now to play NFT games. It's going to cost you anywhere between like $20 to $30 at the minimum to like make a transaction. So, Binance Smart Chain a little bit better, but that those transactions can still stack up, and Wax is primarily focused on like the collectible stuff mostly. And so we kind of fell in love with that. Hey, so I could just like make transactions all day, really not have to pay anything, just stake like $200 or something. And so what we did is we created these cards. They're called Metasource cards.
Hmm.
And I looked at the NFT gaming space and I was like, I want something special for NFTs. I like if you own an NFT, I want it to like earn you tokens, and then you can do other things with it, use them in gaming utilities, and I want them to be very special. Like there's only one of each. So I started creating these Metasource cards as kind of like a side project, and doing like 20 of them a week. And eventually we started to scale that up, started to hire the artists to make the cards so I could focus on the business stuff of ours. And I started all this idea during Christmas when like basically nobody was answering phone calls when it came to the business. And I was like, well, I got like at least 2 weeks of downtime, let's crunch. It was really well received by our people, and we weren't on a blockchain yet because we weren't sure about things. I didn't know about wax. But eventually, what it evolved into is we also have this other game called Crypto Castles. Now, both of them are still coming. Are staking for the Metaverse cards are coming this month. And then the Crypto Castles is going to be having a beta later this year. So what happened was, as we basically got these cards onto the Wax platform, which is happening like literally, this week on October 7th, we have the drop of our limited edition packs. We decided to couple the Metasource cards with some of the Crypto Castle cards, and they're these very important Crypto Castle cards are called Royals, and we decided to put them into a limited edition pack. We thought it was a really great way to provide people with value. We turned down the price a little bit, and the whole goal has been to sell out of these, and then we can basically continue to sell out every month of our cards. That was really the grand strategy for what we've been doing, and so we got that drop coming on the 7th, and really kind of the whole point of these cards is that you were talking about, metaverses and like what's involved there, and I've always seen it as like an all-encompassing passive income and paid work platform. If you are, if you're, someone who has a lot of money and you want to buy assets, you go and you can do that, and you can monetize them, and you can monetize them with people who might not have a lot of time, but they might not have a lot of money, but they do have time. And then so you could bridge a gap. And then once you can kind of bridge that gap and bring those two types of people, the ones who have money and the ones who have time, and they're able to kind of work together to create value together, I think like the sky's the limit there. Now there are different people doing different things in the space, and kind of evolve. I'm very involved in NFT games right now. Sometimes I'm like, I got to work on this thing, but I also want to look at this NFT game, and I kind of got to pick and choose. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to look at this NFT game, and then I'm going to do some work. But I kind of love that process. I'm gravitating more into just doing the work. But this has been a really critical moment because, I've been able to look at what everybody else is doing and passionately get engaged with what's happening with, like Lost Relics. Looking at Axes. I really don't play Axes, but I've looked into it. It just didn't happen to be my type of NFT game, but there's plenty of other ones that are. I'm into Nova Rally. I really like that one. And just started getting into Farmer's World. Got involved in their animals thing. I really like that. It's another Wax one. And, Star Atlas. So I've been looking at all of these things. And, my entire mission is to use all of my resources and knowledge about what we're doing inside of NFT games so that we can turn our platform into the premier place for passive income and paid work. And 10 years from now, we're a multi-trillion dollar company, and rivaling the Amazons and the Googles of the world, because we figured out how to make the product market fit between the gamers who had money, the gamers who didn't, and get them to work together to build just like entire money making ecosystem, or rather financial ecosystem. And we don't have a cryptocurrency license, just to put that out there. I don't give financial advice to anybody. I don't know of any other gaming companies that do have a cryptocurrency license. And just wanted to put that out there, that in order to call anything that anything that we're selling an investment, we need a cryptocurrency license. We don't have one, so we don't do that. We let people decide whether or not gaming items are investments, whether or not they want to speculate. Like, totally up to them. So I know I kind of probably talked the last couple of minutes and just kind of gave you a big spiel, but that's what we're really about, is turning video gaming into passive income and paid work, and we've been building out the systems to facilitate that.
I've been watching and listening and following your content just a little bit over the past few months, and I think it's a really interesting concept that you're talking about right now with the idea of paid work. Because I don't, the trend that I've started to notice across the metaverse has been following along this idea of paid work and what it means to when capital investors meet, gaming labor example, and how does that create an economy within each one of these different metaverses. So I think it's really interesting that you're pushing pretty hard on this right now. And I think the timing actually sounds pretty well for the projects that you're working on and how everything has been evolving. Do you think from all the time that you've spent researching and obviously working on your own project, what do you think? How do you think, or how do you see this type of metaverses, these gaming economies, evolving over the next few months? Do you think it's something along the lines like the way you were describing right now on how you chose to go with the Wax blockchain? I'm sure you chose that specifically to address the issues around gas fees. Are there any other
Mhm.
areas that you're focusing on or that have caught your interest on how everything's evolving? Maybe other projects that have caught your eye.
Yeah, I can speak to two of those. Number one is the it's kind of like a shared ecosystem idea.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually kind of a recent development with our business where I was involved in Wax. I'm looking at all these projects. We got Farmers World, we got Our Planet, we got Nova Rally, we got Space Heroes, which is one of the bit in their top like 5 or 10 of Wax right now. And I'm like, these are really cool, and we have all these things coming up, but like every time I buy them, I'm getting into like an own individual ecosystem
Right.
and things like that. And I was looking at us and I was like, well, we got our Metaverse cards, they connect to Crypto Castle, so they are in a connected ecosystem. And then I was looking at Farmers World, and they had a really great way that they're doing their economy. I think there's some good and some bad about the way that they're doing their economy, in my personal opinion, but it's working at the moment. And I really like the idea of how they've used their animal expansion,
Mm.
and that's why I really got involved with them, because I'm like, oh, this animal expansion is cool. I kind of like what they're doing, and I was like, well, wait a minute, like, what if I would love for us to have a robot game. I would love for us to have a like a space opera game. Like, I would love for us to have multiple games on the Wax platform, not just crypto castles and the Metasource cards. I would love to have like this giant ecosystem. And I was like, well, there's a way to do that. And Farmers World is actually already kind of doing it across their expansions, and says you just basically get a couple of shared tokens. One is like base materials, one is like currency, one is like energy, or at least converts into energy. So you just use some like basic concepts, and then you tie them all together. And I think the one that really actually kind of makes it all work is when you start to calculate people's time, because uh, what I want to do is essentially have like these tasks that are needed to like click something every like 1 or 2 hours. And the games on Wax blockchain right now are pretty simple. They're kind of like card games or idle games, right? So taking advantage of that, me personally, when I first saw Farmers World, I'm like, I can't like go and click something every 60 minutes. Like, I don't have that kind of time. I gotta like focus at like 3 to 4 to 6 hour stretches on my work, so I can't be in here like clicking this stuff. And I'm like, but I would love to share, like 5% or something, 10% of the earnings of what I'm making on those tokens, if I could just have someone else click it for me. And so in the end, that's what I want to do on the Wax blockchain is make it so if there are tasks that are timed, need to be done in certain times, stuff like that, you can actually start to outsource those to other people, create a guild around it, have your guild say, okay, I trust this person, that person, that person. I want to put these people in my guild, and we get to be like our own like NFT gaming mafia, right? And build our empire together. And so that is really ultimate vision of what we're building for the Metasource, and the Wax, Metasource on the Wax blockchain is. And I was like, why not, why have all these different separate games so we can actually start to connect these things together? So for us on the Wax blockchain, that's what we're doing. I don't know if anybody else is going to do something like that. I haven't quite heard of it. I think Farmers World is doing very well. I could see them having an IDO in the next month, doing a land sale next month, and then being on multi-chain by the end of the year. So I think they're doing something in a somewhat similar concept, and I think every time they're going to do an expansion, it's going to grow and have these like the resources cross between expansions. And I think we're probably going to do something very similar, but with probably different kinds of genres, and the games that we're developing will continue to deepen as well with those. And I think it all works when you kind of look at the value of the creation that people are doing. If you kind of calculate the value creation of what people are making, there's a way to create supply and demand across the systems and have it very dynamic, very interesting, and if people like it, it'll grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you just bringing up concepts like gaming guilds. We've seen some major explosion recently with YGG and other guilds starting to form. How do you expect that to play into the future of your idea of paid labor within the and passive income inside the crypto space and gaming space?
Specifically guilds.
Yeah, do you think that's going to be the future of like that labor organizes in these different economies, or would you expect it to be more spread out as individuals versus guilds, or a mixture of both?
Well, I think there's a conversation, just to like be bold faced with everybody and be, completely transparent on things, is that there is a conversation to be had around bots versus something like guilds.
Yeah,
Because if I'm someone, I own a bunch of assets and I can be like, hey, okay, so now I have to click this thing every 2 hours, this thing every 2 hours, this thing every 2 hours, but I got like 5,000 assets. I can't go in there and click a button, every, that's just, I don't have that time, this
right.
is, and if you continue to scale up, I'm accumulating so many assets now. I'm like, I don't have time to play with all the games I'm doing as much as I would love to. I just don't. So, someone who doesn't have any morals or doesn't care about, someone who's just all about achieving the most for themselves, be like, well, could I get a bot to do it? Could I like hire someone to make a bot, or could I hire a bot service to go and just use everything for me? And so do all the clicking, do all the buying, all that stuff. So there's a conversation to be had around preventing that, and giving incentives for creating guilds. Because I think when you go and you create guilds, well, now you have like, your friends. And I think, if you're going to go ahead and give a piece of the pie to someone, I think you want to do it with your friends. You're like, hey, so if you're going to be able to like, click on these things on the Wax blockchain every like, 30 to 60 minutes or something. And, this farm needs tending, this hangar needs to produce, needs to manufacture, spaceships, or these lands need tending, and you're accumulating all these things. And if you are starting to do well and that's starting to scale up, if you're someone at the bottom of that, well, then there's an opportunity for you to be like, hey, I'm a reliable person, or if you like them, you can bring them on board into your guild and start to do
Sure.
those tasks. Now I'm kind of getting very specific with the Wax blockchain at the moment, because I think at the higher level, it's going to look a little bit different when you get into playable games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've seen, especially with Discord, the gaming movement right now is very social. I
Yes.
was kind of I wouldn't say antisocial person, but like antisocial gamer for a while. I'd just go, I'd play like, my Dragon Age, lock myself in a room for an hour or two, and just play Dragon Age. And I wouldn't really interact with anyone else. And then I think it was Divinity, one of the Divinity games came out, and they made it basically very co-op oriented. And now we see Discord, like tons of people, we see Twitch, like the social aspect of it is becoming much bigger. So I could see definitely someone like having their own channel, be like, hey, so now I got $1 million of assets, but I need you guys, like you have your own channel, I need
Mm-hmm.
you guys to help me monetize these by doing all the things that I can't to monetize these via time. So I think when everything starts to scale well, it's going to look like that, and that's when it's going to get really strong, because you bridge a value creation gaps. Because there are many ways to create value out of these games, not just buying things, it's sharing things, it's tending to things, maintenance. There are almost limitless ways in the world to create value, and I think the same thing is going to happen inside of these NFT games, where we're going to start to find really creative ways for people to create value and essentially grow the movement and grow the market.
Well, how about we do this? I'd love to jump in and continue, because I really want to go a little deeper on the idea about bots, because I have a couple of opinions on that end too. But I'd love for you. Can you give me some details? We have a giveaway that we're wanting to go ahead and get launched on the stream. I was wondering if you give me a little details, give a little details to the people that are watching on what they can do there.
Yeah, so with the giveaway, we're giving away one fantasy limited edition pack. So limited edition will hold one unique card. It is basically made by us. It's only created and sold once. So it's only going to be unpacked once, and basically whoever gets that Metaverse card is going to be its sole owner. That card also earns our token, Metaverse tokens, once our staking goes live at the end of this month, October. And importantly, that it actually does end. The entry ends at 4:15 PST, so which is about 30 minutes. So you want to make sure you get into that giveaway. Striker's got the giveaway link for you there, and so it also, that pack also includes a royal. It's for our game Crypto Castles. So after our, so our drop is the US. Sorry, I'm going to look at that. But the USD value of this pack is $199. And about later this month, there's going to be no more limited edition packs. This will be the last limited edition pack drop on October 7th, and then after that we'll be separating these two cards out, and the value of Metasource card, the drop is then going to be $150, and then the Royal will be $250. So basically, limited edition packs are a great value. And you can get more information about that at metasourcecards.com. The Royals, you want a Royal. They drop lands. They allow you to outsource the building of lands on Crypto Castle game. I really love Royals. Like when I created the concept for them, I was like, oh my God, well, like I love this idea for a game. It's all about like, creating wealth and influence and gaining glory, achieving it. And I was like, this is a really cool concept, getting to build merch lands. And now you have this card called Royal that drops them for you, allows you to manufacture them. And they're both part of the Metasource ecosystem. So you have almost 30 minutes to get into that giveaway before it ends. And then we'll pull them at the end of the stream, who the random winner is.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And thank you everyone that already hit that follow and that sub button. I went ahead and I put that giveaway link in the chat. Feel free to jump on in there. Let's get this thing going. But in the meantime, while you're all doing that, and we'll come back and check in the giveaway in a few minutes. But I'd love to continue right where we left off when we were talking about the idea here of botting and what it could mean for the future. The thing that really has been bugging me over the past month or so when it comes to gaming has been this idea of how technology has advanced. Like obviously gaming and crypto in itself have been areas that technology has always been on the forefront, right?
Yeah.
We know that over the course of the next few, or at least my opinion, over the course of the next few years, like artificial intelligence, robotics, like these different areas of technology are really going to be at a forefront, in my opinion. Gamers are some of the very first people and groups of people that really started to put some of that technology to work in games of the past, right? If I've already started researching about a bunch of crypto projects that are already expecting their token, not gaming related, but their token specifically to be used by bots for whatever reason, whether that's like supply chain management or other industries that can provide efficiencies. So if that's something that other industries, separate from gaming, are expecting to happen, what do you think we can expect with the future of botting in games? What does that mean for you? In terms of my personal opinions, we're already starting to see games like Mir 4, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, that rather than going around the concept of botting, they're trying to make it to where really anyone can be provided with a bot for general gameplay. That way you can do exactly what you just described. You don't have all the time in the day to play, but you'd still want to be, actively participating in these virtual worlds. You can set the bot to do whatever your daily objectives are, set it and forget it until the time when it's good for you to sit down at the computer and have your free time. Do you think that's going to continue? What kind of, do you think we'll have a backlash in terms from gamers specifically? We have a couple guys in chat already saying, that those types of models aren't really games, but I really don't see how it can't continue to progress forward. Technology always does. I don't know. What's your opinion on botting in games?
Well, botting, not just in games, let's talk, but also real life, is all about efficiency.
Right.
You can get the most amount of drops if you just do a bot and, and set up multiple accounts. And I don't at all advise what people do that because they can get banned from these platforms. But even in real life, if about building robots to carry goods from one place to another or create food for us, it's all about efficiency in those terms. Now, when you're talking about gaming being at the forefront of things, what I love about that is that generally gaming has, video gaming specifically has been, or PC gaming, console gaming has specifically been about entertainment and enjoyment, fulfillment from having these experiences. The games are really about the experience. So I think what we may see moving into the future here, where there are some games, maybe not, not all of them, especially the ones I love. There are some games that are about efficiency. They are about maybe things like botting, but I think we're probably going to see that for the first time. Something that is both a game, but also kind of more like an automated, you know, passive income money maker kind of thing. It's just like a gamified way of monetizing things, financially. So I think there's going to be games like that, but I love the idea of monetizing the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the time, allowing someone who has $1 million in gaming assets to have that monetized by someone who doesn't have that much money, who can go and like tend the plants and other things like that, or our job token, which we're coming out with, where what we want to have do is we want people to have like entire businesses that own like hundreds of thousands of our job tokens, and then they essentially send those job tokens out to hundred thousands of gamers, and those gamers then earn while they play, and then they're earning revenue for the person who owns it. So you could build a business out of owning these job tokens and the seeds and that entire virtual supply chain that we've created with it. And for us, that is about both. It's about being able to automate revenue sharing, and it's also about the experience. So we're basically monetizing the experience of playing video games, the time that is used to
Mm-hmm.
play the video game. So that's how we intend to create value there. So when you look at, I think value is created many different ways, and I think the NFT gaming space is going to make many different types of games that generate value in different ways. I was just listening to a podcast of the day with like I think the Blankos VP. I think he was a new hire,
Mm-hmm.
but he was talking about what Blankos wants to do, and I was like,
With mythical
I've
games.
never really. Mythical Games, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know his name, but he's newly hired VP, and I was thinking, it's interesting. Like they have a very different vision. He's speaking to a very different vision than what I have. It's hard for me to describe, but it's like my brain's kind of going in this way with a passive income and paid work thing, and their brain's kind of going in this way in a different direction. I didn't even totally understand it. I was like, it seems like they want to they basically want to just like monetize what people want to buy or use. And for me, it's like bigger than that. It's bigger than, I want this plushy doll skin, and I'm gonna sell it to somebody else. It's my vision is way bigger than that. It's way bigger than the skins and like giving the people what they want, monetizing loot boxes. Our vision is just like much larger. It's trying to connect all the pieces that people want. I'm basically building the system that I wanted, and I hope that is the same thing that everybody else wants as far as being gamers. But I think everyone's going to have different vision, different outlook, and I think there will be some things that are probably built more towards automation.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't think the ones that are built more towards automation will really capture the imagination of gamers.
Mm-hmm.
It could capture the money, absolutely. Like I won't say it won't, but I think those are kind of different things. I think they can both grow to be the same level. But I think my hope, our goal, is to become way bigger than anything without a soul.
Yeah.
Because that's that's what we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fascinating for you to put that perspective on like your vision versus the vision of others, and it's common for me talking with a bunch of different people in the industry that it's quite common for people to say like, what, reflecting on their own personal vision when other people are maybe critiquing it or expanding upon it, to make the types of comments of like, well, maybe I got it wrong, or maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong lens. But I just think that from like for how new this space is and how everyone is trying to develop in their own unique ways and being able to push the forefront of where this industry is going, I actually think what's more intriguing is where will there be when ideas like that are diverging in different ways. You see it in the build out of other industries that at some point in time, for whatever reason, those ideas start to wrap in and start to get connected by bridges or what other way, maybe by audiences or whatnot. So seeing how your vision could evolve over time, I think is going to be very interesting to watch. When you talk about the idea of paid labor, like I do think because of how many people around the world right now are having issues with finding paid work. You know, the internet, mobile technology, gaming is going to be able to open up this entire addressable market of millions or billions of people that now have an extra opportunity to earn, whether it is in a game or by interacting with job tokens like you were describing, or an entrepreneur of sorts can create their own type of project and have a new source of labor, a new source of demand that for people to actually want to produce within their individual products. So it's really, when you talk about the idea of how big this could be, it's like exponential growth, right? Like we all kind of think about how big it could be, but then when it actually happens, we look at it and we reflect back and we can say like, there's no way I could have seen, how much this
Yeah,
actually, like the
yeah.
vision is so specific. Um, do you think that the job tokens, like in an ideal world, over the course of years, I mean, it's impossible to know what the future holds, I know, but what would be the ideal use of these job tokens? Like, how would you expect them to circulate from both going to the laborer's hand and then returning and being used within the economy? What are some of those ideas you have of what the future might hold with the use of the token?
Well, the job token, it'll be pretty simple. I mean, it'll all be smart contract based.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, someone will say, "Hey, inside the system, look different options." But one example would look like is someone's like, "Okay, going to send this job token off. Going to set these parameters. Someone who plays 4 to 8 hours straight with like a 99% success ratio of doing a job. Basically not disconnecting, not leaving or anything. Basically, whatever amount of time they need to focus on earning with that token that they do.
Mm-hmm.
They have success. You can set that. You can set like, hey, so I'm only going to, I'm only going to allow this person to earn like say 30% of the earnings, and it's going to be competitively based. It'll be depending on the market.
Right.
If I imagine what's going to happen is that the bigger it gets, the bigger the market gets, and basically the more money that's involved in all this, the sharing of the value is going to get smaller. So maybe in the early days I was sharing 30%. Now I'm sharing 20%. I'm sharing 10%. Why? Because the value of my tokens are going up, and there are more people who want to use them. So I can actually start to use those. I can actually let those go for lower revenue share, which is good for the owner. And the way we've designed it is so that you can only upgrade them so many times a week, possibly like once a week, which means that instead of just getting one super job token, you have to start making more job tokens from your earnings. You spend those earnings, reinvest into more job tokens, and so it's how it's been designed to basically fit whatever demand there is. In fact, when we designed the system, we were like, well, we don't know how to gauge supply versus demand. So we built a technology, I have a patent pending for it, that organically meets that. Oh, you want more coins for for upgrading the tokens and making new job tokens? Well, then you go buy that, and that puts it into the system, and it's kind of simple and brilliant at the same time. We've created the perfect system for creating supply and demand to facilitate these tokens specifically. And so I mean, it'll be really easy, like and someone who wants to play it, like they'll just be like, hey, so you want to use a job token? Sure, we found a match for you. Do you want to use this
Yeah.
one? Here's the revenue share. This is how long you have to play for: 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
30-minute bathroom break. I don't know, something like that. And it's like, okay, yes, and I'm going to take this, and it's going to be that simple. Like it's going to be incredibly simple for people to play, and it's going to be across multiple games. So
Mm-hmm.
the whole reason we created the job tokens that we could. I was sitting there playing No Man's Sky one day, and I was like, I wish
Okay.
this was my job. I could just like explore this universe forever. I wish I could pay to do this. And I was like, what if? And I kind of just went down this whole rabbit hole of how. I just said like, okay, so let's just assume that it's possible
Mm-hmm.
to do that. I was like, what would need to happen? What would this technology need to look like? I was like, well, need to somehow leverage supply and demand, need it to, basically scale however it needs to scale easily, and prevent bots. And I have an idea for that too. And I was like, and use blockchain. I was like, oh, just need many transactions per second. And it came together pretty quickly, surprisingly, when I was playing No Man's Sky. And so you'll be able to play many multiple games like this, and hopefully we'll have games like No Man's Sky, World of
Great
Craft,
game.
where people's favorite games are, Among Us,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want will be compatible with our game. And so we're also building our own 5 versus 5 game to use the job token with. And I know I've kind of been talking about, I wanted to touch on a point that you were just talking about. I almost forget now. It's super important. You were talking about not only that, but it was help me out. What were you saying
Uh,
before the job
so
token?
we were talking a little bit about guilds. We were talking about botting. We talked about, let's see, what else did we talk about?
Oh, you know what? I remember what it is now. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
It was you were talking about, how big this get and people,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people not being able to find work. So one of the things about, businesses, that businesses tend to go out and they solve problems. And, and the biggest businesses tend to solve the biggest problems. Amazon solved, hey, how do I get anything to anyone easily?
Sure.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that is essentially what they did. They started out with books, but the problem there was just like getting whatever book anyone wanted easily, and then it just evolved into everything. So what I think what most people don't understand about crypto is that, and also crypto games, as we're starting to see, is it's solving one of the world's biggest problem. We have some, right, world hunger, we have
Sure.
disagreements, things like that, but the other one, like probably one of the third biggest or top five at least problems that we have, is illiquidity and the inability to like own property, the inability to have a bank account. People who live in
Property
wealthier
rights.
countries, first world countries like America, would be surprised how many people don't have bank accounts in the entire world. It's massive. And so what this kind of comes down to, the problem itself is an illiquidity, which means that the money isn't moving. There are a lot of people out there who are not a part of the financial space, where money is moving and creating opportunities for people, businesses, providing value to the world. There's a lot of people who can't. Like, what they can do is they can, sit at a dirt road, maybe go help out on, like someone's, rice farm or something in many parts of the world. There are many parts of the world where people just don't know how to create value. And what this is opening up is this ability to create value. Just having a device, being able to trade crypto. So as long as you can get a device and connect to the internet, you can start to create crypto. You can start to play these games. You can start to get income, even if you're not banked. I think it was El Salvador just went live with Bitcoin as their main currency,
Yep. Legal
and
tender.
and they asked everybody to like get these phones, and now I think more people have the phones with access to Bitcoin than people who even had bank accounts in that country. And that just like floors me, because it just shows you what kind of a banking problem that they had in their country, and they solved it by doing Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin crashed right when they went live, right? But that's, I mean, purely people trying to
Yeah.
sell, buy the what was it, buy
Buy
the
the rumors, sell
news,
the news.
buy,
Yeah.
yeah, buy the rumor, sell the news. It's just classic
Yeah.
example of that. But it's solving a lot of illiquidity inside El Salvador. So the way I see it is that when we're talking about crypto, we're talking about NFT gaming, we're talking about solving what I think is like one of the top five issues in the world. And most people don't understand that, because if you're in a wealthy country like America, odds are you have a bank account. But you go to other countries, especially the ones that are not wealthy, there's a lot of people out there who don't have a bank account, don't have access to a job. And there are plenty of people in the United States these days who don't have access, can't find a job for whatever various reasons. I'm not going to get into that, but that lights me on fire when I'm out there and I'm walking around in the world and I just look at it and I'm just like, these people have no idea like the problem that we are solving with crypto in NFT games. Like, they're not even aware of it, but it lights me up, and I'm super passionate about it.
Yes, yes. So am I, exactly. I mean, I think you hit so many key points that like ring true to myself. Really quick, for everybody that's watching on the stream right now, we do have the giveaway going. If you haven't had a chance to go ahead, click that link and go ahead and follow those instructions. Be more than glad to get you guys to be hopefully one of the lucky winners. Going off into the future here, but you
They
know,
got 10 minutes
10,
until that
10 more
giveaway
minutes.
closes.
I think some people were saying here real quickly that we might need to take a look at that timing on
Did
the
we mess up
giveaway.
the timing?
Might be running a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but that's all right. I had some microphone issues at the very beginning of the stream too, but we got that resolved. All good. Um, the thing that I've been thinking about lately, and it kind of goes back. One of the questions that I tend to ask most people.
It says 2 days and 10 minutes.
2 days and 10 minutes. Oopsie. There we go.
I'm gonna fix it right now. But yeah,
Go for it.
keep
Go
chatting.
for it. I'll keep going. In terms of where we're going and what the future holds, one of the questions that I tend to ask almost really anybody that we're having a in-depth discussion on when it comes to crypto and gaming, do you think the simple question is, do you think we're going to live in a one metaverse world, or we're going to be breaking out into multiple little metaverses? The reason why I ask this kind of question is because obviously right now the developers and project creators and businesses that are starting up are having to make certain assumptions on how their project will interact in this world right now, and I'm sure a majority of people tend to look at it from the choose your chain and operate within it, build your audience within that, obviously, because onboarding people into crypto is not an easy task, but as it grows over time, it should be getting easier and easier. If we end up going into a world with multiple metaverses versus one, you could see how some people would choose to build differently if you were able to predict out the future. Do you think we're going to be going into one major metaverse that everything connects to, or different sub economies that these projects will bridge between or interact between, like maybe even with respect to your project?
We're always going to have these, splintered projects. I think there's probably going to be a couple of major ones. Axes will probably build a massive platform. Gala Games will probably have a massive platform as well. We want to have the biggest platform because we think we're going to solve this problem of illiquidity the most, because it's one we're the most focused on. We're very clear about what the problem that we're solving. And so when I look at all these other companies, Gala Games, Axie Infinities, I think they're those two companies more about the fun, trying to put the fun in what they're doing. We want the fun too, but it's more than that. It's more than just the fun that we're building. So I think if you look at crypto, you have Bitcoin, right? But then you have how many cryptos now? We got a couple
Right.
10 100,000 different. I could make a Robert coin right now and just use the old Bitcoin code and be like, hey, using the same code as Bitcoin, but we're calling it Robert coin, and I got a new Bitcoin. But there's probably still someone who's going to shill that as the next big thing. And I think it's the same thing's going to happen with crypto games. So I think you're going to have the big ones. You'll probably one day have, Activision, Blizzard, and all these other big gaming companies that have been around for a while. Right now, they get to keep the whole pie of the gaming thing. It's like, hey, so we make $1 billion a year off the gamers. We can keep this whole pie as all ours. That 1 billion is all ours. But what NFT gaming is shifting is actually maybe more half of that is going to go to the developer. The other half is going to go to the people who own the items and the collectibles. The people who are involved in that ecosystem. So now the developers are going to have to share the revenue with the gamers, and the big companies are not ready for that yet, but one day they will be, and then they'll start to, they'll wait until they're forced into it. I'm sure plenty of them are starting to look at it. I think Epic Games has some kind of Metaverse initiative that will probably, lead into.
They're probably the largest right now compared to the others.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know essentially how far along they are on that, but yeah, they could potentially be one of the biggest. And but what's really not going to happen is that you're probably not going to see any of them dip too much into it until they're forced to. That's usually what happens. I mean, Epic Games might be visionary and jump in there, whole hog, but typically, financially, companies are like, oh well, we're still good. We don't have to do anything yet. And hopefully they don't make the same mistake, Blockbuster did, where Blockbuster just waited too long. And they kept going, well, we don't have to change yet. We don't have to change yet. And then, it happened so fast with Netflix overtaking their market share. They didn't even know what to do. They were just like, what? Oh, well, we need to do something. I don't know what we're going to do. Yeah, it was way too late. It just so we'll probably have some companies who might not do that enough. I think this is probably a different situation because Blockbuster kind of have a monopoly on home videos, But the ecosystem for video games is very, very big, and many different options, lots of opportunities for people. But I think, we're going back to the crypto thing. I think there's always going to be that one, those other games are cropping up where people are like, oh, come play this game, because they know that they can get the highest multiples when it comes to a project getting exposure. Same thing, you see a crypto, 20x overnight, because like someone caught wind of it and suddenly they're buying all the tokens. I think we're always going to see that with NFT games as well. You're always going to have the big guys and you have the small guys who are like, oh, look at this one, and they're looking to make the most maximum amount of profit. I think that's basically the direction it's going to go in. Is you're going to have just as many gaming NFT things as you have cryptos in kind of a way. That's what I'm expecting.
I see it. I mean, I think my vision is in line with yours. One of the things that stands out to me is that um, crypto has been labeled the great disruptor, and along with other types of technology, and that leads me to believe that along the lines here, as things produce and continue on, there's gonna be, if we have some major players right now like EA, Activision, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, so on and so forth, if crypto and this technology really is as big of a disruption as it is, I could see a world where in the next 5 years, one, maybe two of those huge companies lose a significant amount of market share, put the business at risk potentially. I also see another world where, you can have, like you were saying, the people that go all in on it, right? Like right now, in terms of like positioning, now I know Facebook isn't a gaming company. I mean, I guess it depends on your perspective, but they probably seem like the biggest and most aligned right now to define what this metaverse can be, with both the Oculus, sit underneath their belt, and the huge platform that Facebook has. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to play out that way, but I do see what you're saying about disruption. And you're right. Big companies are going to they're going to dip their toe in, and they're probably going to be moving too slow. There'll be some that'll be at the forefront, but most are going to move too slow, and it's going to take them time. I was shocked listening the other day to the Bankless podcast with I'm trying to remember her first name, her last name Simpson, where she was describing the adoption of crypto in the traditional video game industry, and she had already predicted, by the end, within the next 6 months, we were going to start seeing major publishers come into the space. I don't know what that will look like, but the one thing that I do think is that of the people that are building right now within the crypto economy, I do think that they're the ones best positioned for whatever wave we get hit with next. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Or do you think the big companies are going to come in and take over everything?
I think there's kind of like a very simple answer for this. And the very simple answer is that whoever makes it the easiest to onboard people into owning these NFTs and monetizing these NFTs will win. And we're positioning ourselves to be those people. We basically kind of have a timeline for like how we're going to deliver things, but it's really about the onboarding. So it's a really big conversation because, like Coinbase just got listed, and Coinbase is now kind of closer to critical mass when it comes to like crypto, but there's still Binance internationally and, lots of other crypto companies. But, there is no easy way yet to really onboard gamers into NFT gaming. Blankos is kind of getting bigger, but they kind of have like their whole NFT buying and trading selling system like behind like this whole obscure thing. And I haven't even used it yet, but I've seen people talk about it and they're like, wait, do I own these?
Same here.
Like,
Yeah.
So I think what it really comes down to is whoever makes it the easiest for someone to say, hey, oh, I can go buy this NFT. I plugged and played it. Now I got this thing. It's earning me tokens. I can sell those, put the money in my bank account. Whoever solves that and makes it, easy, it's us. We're the ones who are going to do that, and which is which is why people come and see me at my YouTube channel. One of the reasons I talk a lot about all of this stuff is because I'm putting in place what we need in order to make that onboarding seamless. And so once, basically what's going to happen is people are going to flood into it, and they're going to be like, oh, look, so I can buy the job token. I can do this very easily. We've been talking about our Metasource cards, but the Metasource cards are actually kind of designed to facilitate to the niche on the Wax blockchain. I do believe eventually the Wax blockchain is going to open up their onboarding process. If not, I'm going to go talk to Jonah, who is one of the co-founders, and be like, dude, this is what you need to do. You need to like make your onboarding way easier. I got some suggestions. But when it comes to our job token, we've always had in plan the long view of being like, so how do we make it so someone can just plug and play, log in, own their assets? And there's a lot involved there. It's a much larger discussion that we should probably talk about in this particular conversation, because there's going to be some kind of I'm forgetting the word, when custody involved in the assets. Like, okay, so you don't start with having, if you go and you buy your stuff on the marketplace, you just plug and played, you might not have access to be able to send that to a wallet specifically, exactly, but we hold custody of that, and that then means that we're gonna basically have your asset. In that case, it might involve things like FDIC insurance. So once I mention that, maybe it opens up for people seeing just how big a problem that is to kind of build, or how long that takes to build out, getting the infrastructure for being able to have custody of other people's items so that it's plug and play for them. So they go in, they don't have to worry about anything except for, oh, I bought a thing, it's earning me things, I can convert that into cash, put it in my bank account. There's a lot of little things that need to go into that, and I haven't even seen anyone really talk about this in our space yet, because everything's kind of behind the crypto walls and the wallets. But I think the big one is basically, I basically have a commercial for us in the near future. We might even make it in the next couple of months. But basically, it's just like a girl on the couch, turns on her console, and it says, hey, you want to use the job token? She's like, yes. And then she plays for a couple hours. It like deposits the money into her account. It's like, bam, it's like that easy. Like that was all it took. Like you're just accepting like a job token, be like, yes, now you're in your game, or even like finds the connection while you're playing the game. And so that is our ultimate vision, is making it that easy. And whoever I've always known whoever does that wins. So that's why we focus on doing it first.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like when you touched on the area of infrastructure, removing the hurdles, making it easier for players to onboard, or people to onboard in general. That whoever solves those problems first, will, but you know what's going to eventually happen. Someone will solve a problem and it'll catch fire across the crypto space. Everyone will learn and try to, adapt it for their own models, and continue to push the narrative forward. So it'll be really interesting to see how that happens. Last chance, guys, real quick. Anybody in the chat? Last chance to join in that giveaway. Maybe I just missed that timeline. I'm not sure.
We just missed it.
We just missed it. Okay, so we'll be closing. It'll be closed here. So glad that everybody that got a chance to get on in. One of the last things I really want to touch up with you on, Robert, or maybe if you're able to, I'm not sure. Are there any milestones that you have that you're able to like say out loud for the public, or rather than having more internal information about what you want to accomplish over the course of the next, let's say, even 6 months?
Well, we're going to have our Metasource staking at the end of this month. So we'll be able to take our Metasource cards, stake them for the tokens, and then then the land earnings will come after. And so we'll have a beta for crypto castles at the end of the year. So it's going to be kind of like some simple systems for that particular game. I am also starting to move into more of having other people focus on the Metasource development, since I've kind of gotten it started running. And then we're going to focus on the job token. The job token stuff is going to come out next year. We actually already like 5 months into development on our 5 versus 5 game. We've occasionally held tests where people could go and play against the other 5 players. We have our basic game loop. I really enjoy it. Kind of reminds me of like Overwatch. It's one of my favorite games, and you just get to play against the 5 players and match that lasts anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. So that job token and the systems for testing that stuff comes next year. Now our goal is to have basically people being able to test the job token stuff middle of next year, and then have the actual earnings come online probably latest next year. That's the goal. we're a very small company at the moment, but we're going to grow very quickly, like just the way the NFT space is growing. By the end of this month, we'll have earned $100,000 in revenue. Now, that might sound like not a lot to some people who are watching companies like Star Atlas, or I think, NFT Battle Miners just made like $2 million or something in sales. So $100,000 in a year might not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but for the size of our company that we've been for last year, that's really good in terms of looking for investment money. And we have no debts, any of that stuff. So we go to investors, we're like, hey, here's the NFT gaming space. This is how it's doing. Here's how the DeFi space is doing. This is what we've earned. No debts. Like, it's going to command a pretty high valuation, and we'll be able to get a lot of funding for putting these things very quickly into place. And then the tokens will come in. So what we're really looking at over the next 6 months, I think, is compound growth for our company, and that will land us to allowing people to use these job tokens at the end of next year. That's my goal.
Very
And the actual
nice.
earnings and the actual monetization of them by end of next year.
How big's your team right now?
We have a core team of 3. So it's me, my business partner, Josh Cantrell. Mark Castillo is our co-founder and also creative director. His wife is also part of our production team. She's creating the cards at the moment. They kind of team it together. And so that's just like the core Blockchain Kingdoms team. We actually founded the company as Trusardi Game Studios before we ever created any of our IPs, any of our platform names. But that's us. Now we have a Canadian team that is up in Canada. They had a name, but then they created an indie brand that they're trying to place us under. I forget if I can tell you the indie brand name
No
yet.
problem.
I don't think actually they told me, but it is. They have worked on some big games for Ubisoft. All these major other companies.
Ubisoft
they
is
worked
always
on
one of those that innovates very fast.
engineers. Hmm?
Ubisoft is always one of those is that it's on the front of innovation.
Yeah, well, they're a company, a studio that has worked on games for Ubisoft, and or at least, or if not the studio specifically, at least their personnel have. So they have like an all-star team of people who've worked on big games, and they've been developing their 5 versus 5, which is going to plug into the job token, and so I think 1 or 2 people at any one time is working on that game, and then we have a team in Brazil, and they also are a full stack development team. So we have probably 1 or 2 people working on the website and the backend blockchain stuff for that at any one time. So we're kind of like maybe 5 or 6 people working on all of our stuff at any one point in time. And we're basically kind of like 3 teams at the moment. And we're looking to scale that up here pretty quickly, pretty soon, because things are starting to look pretty good for us.
Very cool. Very cool. I'd like to, wrap up our conversation, and I'd like to switch our perspectives here a little bit. We've been talking a lot from the perspective of, entrepreneurs and business in this new eco space. I'd love to get your opinions from the perspective of just of a gamer that's coming into NFT gaming in general. What types of ideas over the course of time, like you've obviously been looking at this space, testing out these different games whenever you get the opportunity. You've seen a lot of hurdles. You've overcome a lot of hurdles. I'm sure you have found a more efficient way to be able to do certain things than someone that just comes into the space. Is there any advice that you could give, or any ideas that you can give to someone who's brand new coming into crypto gaming, maybe playing their first game, or getting involved in crypto in general? What are some of the things that you've discovered along the way that might make their journey a little easier?
From a technical level, I think Wax is really easy to get involved with. You can go to it's like wax.wallet.io, I think, to create a Wax wallet. And there are a lot of people with YouTube videos like Crypto Stash who will show you how to create a Wax wallet and get started. And the other cool thing about Wax is that you can try and join like low cost games. Nova Rally is a very low cost game. All you need is like a car, and then you need two drivers, and you can play the game. You need a little bit of snake oil, but your cars can earn you snake oil to do the driving. So some of these games can be expensive to get started in. Not all of them. So kind of find a game that's within your price level, within your risk level. The other thing to know is that it can be really risky to get involved in NFT gaming. You can buy into
Definitely.
a project and be like, well, this looks cool, and then have the value of those go down like half or less, and be like, well, what happened? It happens all the time in this particular space, and so it is a little bit volatile. So my suggestion there is just research it, go with something you like. If you can't handle a lot of risk, don't go whole hog into things, and join people's discords for every project. Kind of get a vibe for the community and what people are talking about, and yeah, buy our Metaverse cards and Crypto Castle Royals. Like we have a big vision, and we're very transparent with our community. We've always focused on really creating like a community that we love, and we've also been focused on supporting our early supporters. So I think my biggest advice for someone just starting out is really find projects that you vibe with. The different projects out there, and find the one that feels good to you. And also I suggest, if you're just starting out, find someone who puts their face out in front of the project, because a lot of projects out there have like anonymous people who don't reveal their faces on the project, and I found those to sometimes be the ones that really don't turn out, or the ones that are really inconsistent. Those are the ones I found start to avoid. If there's inconsistency with those founders or the Discord or something, those are the ones I kind of tend to stay away from.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was very great advice. Maybe the only thing that I would, continue to emphasize, based on what you were saying, was definitely when you're researching those games and when you're taking a look at those, go ahead and interact with the community. Take some extra time, maybe than you're used to. Put the feelers out there. Because we're all in the crypto space, you tend to see that most communities are very supportive of their project. Obviously, they want their project to survive and be able to move forward and bring on as many users as possible. So feel free to be a little, like you were saying earlier, it's significantly more social than most gamers would probably assume from looking into the past. Um, so Robert, I'm really happy that I had you on, and definitely want to have a lot more conversations. Could you let the people in the chat know where they can find you, or find information on your project, or where they should be keeping their eyeballs set to?
Yeah, metasource.com is our website. We have links to our Discord. I'm always there. I chat a lot with our community, and our Medium pages there, Twitter, YouTube, everything. We do occasionally make streams, and like this one, talking to other NFT game creators and stuff. But yeah, Discord's the best place to reach out to me personally. And yeah, so metasourcecards.com.
Perfect, perfect. Gotta love it. Robert, I hope that I'll be able to have you on, here in the near future. I know you have a whole bunch of stuff right in front of you, and a lot of exciting. It's going to be an exciting holiday season for you, and in my personal opinion, for the entire crypto space. Hopefully, things continue forward. But any other last closing thoughts? Anything that we missed that we need to go ahead and address real quick?
Yeah, I remember watching your streams. When I got involved in Lost Relics, I started watching your stream, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is on like several hours a day, and he's talking about Lost Relics. Like, I can absorb information and learn things from him. So I'd play like Lost Relics and then listen to you. And I think you mentioned a couple of times that you were interested in starting your own NFT gaming project.
Yeah, so I have a lot of information, a lot of research done, in the space, trying to best figure out how to go ahead and launch. I've talked about the idea on stream, at least. There's definitely some information I can't share, but I've talked about the idea of a gaming guild and what a future guild, what a guild going to the future could look like. I've also talked about this idea of, this. In my opinion, I think the NFT gaming ecosystem is obviously at its infancy, but I do think that within the genre of gaming, within the industry, this is going to be its own huge subsect that I know from personal experience, seeing other industries grow, that there's going to be a lot of different opinions, and the valued opinions obviously are going to be the ones that get pushed to the top. But I really do like the idea of being able to provide a service relating to research that, just the way you just described right now, like that was, we were specifically talking about Lost Relics in that instance, but been working on a project to where the information that I've been able to research and gather could be shared out to a group of individuals, with the purpose of helping people, attempting to help people to explore this space more safely by giving them the tools that they may need to make their own educated decisions. But hopefully I'll have some more information on that to launch over the course of the holiday season. Getting closer to Christmas. But fingers crossed.
So you want to create a newbie guild?
I mean, you could look at it like, what are the ways that a guild could be able to teach its members and or other people in its community how to overcome the major hurdles like we were kind of describing right now. The idea of investing into projects that you need to have some type of limerick that provides gamers with a knowledge from a trusted source for them to be able to then take and either adapt or grow or even provide feedback on. Because I see we're gonna, as this economy, I mean, as any economy that's starting up grows, there are major turning points that can cause quite a bit of harm, and also do the exact opposite, create substantial wealth over the course of a couple days, when something major happens. So better preparing gamers and investors and players to navigate those waters, I think, is going to be very key.
Yeah, I think. Do you have a Discord yet?
So I do, but we haven't launched it yet. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's coming up. That's coming up. So everybody stay tuned for that. And who knows? Maybe on the next time that I get you on, we can go over the details on that, and I'd love to share with you some more about it.
Yeah, I'd love that. That is exactly where I got started with everything you're saying. Actually, how I got started with Wax was I had a user, one of our users tell me about it, and he bought a bunch of Metaverse cards. So he's bought a lot, actually. I think he's done very, very well from buying NFTs, and he's trying to tell me about Wax. And I was like, okay, like I'm trying to like figure everything out. And he's like, no, really, you should check it out. And then some other members of ours are like getting involved with our planet, and they're profiting off of that and Axes. And I was like, okay, we just need to keep a separate channel for talking about this stuff. And I've accumulated so much knowledge thanks to our community, because I've had questions. I go on there and I ask them. And being a content creator like yourself and being someone who leads a community, one of the best parts of it that is kind of self-serving to us is that we get to ingest all this stuff. It becomes kind of a touchstone for us knowing what to do, and then we get to share that with the community. So all day and all night now, they're inside of our Wax Gaming channel talking about what's happening with Wax in there, and feeding off each other's information, and also learning. Just so everybody knows, that there are scams out there, and if you don't, make sure to use 2FA on your wallets, so it goes to your phone to authorize you. If you click on the wrong link and you approve the wrong link, it can take things out of your wallet. So you have to. Those are the things that we found that we have to keep reminding each other to be aware of that, so we don't fall prey to a scam or buying a fake NFT, because those things do happen. But I found a community to be exactly what you're saying. The place where we can help each other grow stronger, and find more opportunities and better opportunities inside of the NFT gaming space.
Exactly. I feel that those are some of the ideas that that keep me up at night for sure. Planning out for what the future can hold. But Robert, I'm so happy that I had you on. I'm excited for your work over the course of the next month. When we get close to those deadlines, let me know, because I want to have you on. I'd love to go into a little bit more depth on the specifics, and hopefully we can schedule something where we can maybe give away some more in the future.
I will. I'll let you know how things develop. And I did pull the winner of the card. So did a drum roll.
The winner.
The winner is Giovanno. I believe that's actually a one of our community members is Giovanno, and I
Giovanni,
think
congratulations, my friend.
so. I'll be sending him that fantasy limited edition pack tomorrow. I'm finishing up the final touches on those packs today, so I'll send them out tomorrow. But yeah, thank you so much, Giovanno, for participating and watching the streaming. Congratulations.
Gotta love it, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to go ahead and tune into future episodes. You know, I'm more excited. Like I was saying, I'm more than excited to have you on for a future time. So, thank you guys so much for today. I will catch you all and see you all in the metaverse.